Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Right, firstly, Star Citizen Alpha 3.1 is out to Evocati testers, and I do also believe that more and more backers are getting invited to the Evocati over the weekend, so check your emails and read the NDAs and such. Once it has its major bugs squashed out and is in a bit more of a stable, playable state, it will go to the first wave PTU, which includes subscribers and concierge. Expected feature-wise, backers are likely to be pleased. Check the roadmap and or the video that I'll link down below to see what features are in store for 3.1. I can't show any Evocati footage, unfortunately, but there was a UK studio update in ATV with lots of updates showing off some more bits that are in 3.1, and we're going to summarise that now. So the UI visual team in the UK studio have been working on the visor vehicle holograms, which have been extensively rewritten to use render-to-texture tech. It now actually renders the ship you have targeted, so if it's damaged or deformed, you'll see that in real time on your little HUD radar-y thing. It's similar to what they do for secondary viewport and comms chatter. They render the scene and then view it from a camera before displaying it on the HUD or mobiGlass. This will be available on your MFD displays on your ships in 3.1. You'll also be able to choose the angle from a series of fixed point that you view your ship or targeted ship from in 3.1 as well. You're also going to be able to add and customize auxiliary displays in your cockpit MFDs soon too, with your helmet visor allowing you to see the info of your choosing basically. So you'll be able to put MFD data on your helmet 2D HUD sort of thing, which is pretty cool and pretty useful. They are continuing to improve their planet tech. They added more multi-channel support and improved color blending. Transitioning from ground to space and vice versa is now a smoother experience, and you're very much going to notice some visual improvements, especially to yellow in 3.1's release. Outposts and points of interest can also now be placed more easily too from the devs' point of view. They're also finishing off truck stop exteriors and incorporating the new common hangar element. They are also procedure generating interiors for stations for those truck stops, and they've cranked out over 1,000 tests. They're getting some cool results, some weird ones as well, but some pretty cool ones for the procedurally generated interiors. The Razor, the Cyclone, the Terrapin, and the Reclaimer are looking amazing, and in 3.1 they've also had some VFX passes done to them. They look amazing! Weapons have been getting some impact improvements and VFX passes too. The PMA and VMA, the Personal Manager app and Vehicle Manager app on the mobiGlass are getting some love too. Star Marine also has a lot more customization with your gear now, allowing you to change different parts of your armor individually from light to heavy, different parts, and that's going to affect your stamina and the way you move and how much damage you take. They're also looking to fill more of the screen with the mobiGlass when you use your mobiGlass so that it can make everything easier to read. So those issues where you're not going to be able to see the screen so clearly or read the text because it's too small should hopefully be a thing of the past. We will see better inventory management in 3.1 as well. The character creator has had more work. We're going to see icons for each of the options soon too. There is no more seam with the characters' heads and skin when they're placed over each other. Various persistence issues have also been fixed, which are obviously necessary for 3.1. 3.1 also has the early service beacons, which facilitate player-generated content, allowing players to pay each other for services, such as personal transport or combat assistance in the future. Once a contract is accepted, quantum travel markers will be created on the contact initiator, so the contract provider can easily get to them. Both parties will then be able to see where the other is at all times during the contract. Either player or party involved can cancel the contract at any time, but be warned, players will be able to rate the other player, so don't be a dick, really, that's what I'm saying. Pirates aren't going to be able to do the same trick repeatedly, I think this is the idea. They fixed helmet lights too, and hats being able to be worn in helmets, which was obviously good, and lots of bug fixes and improvements updates for 3.1. Talking about performance and optimization, the latter 3/4 of the Around the Verse was looking at that very subject, with a lot of stuff relevant for 3.1, so I will try and summarize it here quickly. They plan to scale more and more to multiple CPU threads. This is an ongoing path, but will lead to massive improvements and better scaling for hardware in the future at most ends of system, whether you've got a low end or a high end or whatever, but obviously more CPU threads scaling up to that. You're going to start to be using more threads in the more modern CPUs. They're also wanting to make sure that they don't have any substantial input lag, even if an approach could lead to greater frame rate optimization-wise. At the cost of input lag, it's not worth it. But typically, they are constantly looking to make everything more efficient with the GPU, CPU, and RAM operations. They have a budget of 2,500 draw calls on screen at all time. A ship can be roughly around 500 to 800 at highest res at the moment. They use levels of detail to reduce polygons, so obviously those ships aren't going to be drawn at the highest reses at all times. They also have reworked the damage system, so there isn't loads of handmade debris everywhere. Ship damage is much more physicalized damage, and that actually reduces draw calls further. They are also combining messages on ships where they can. Viz areas and portal culling is also used. Basically, they don't render areas behind doors if a door's closed. They are also moving to use signed distance fields, which allows them a faster, higher res approach compared to volumetric approach that they've previously been using when they're working out distances and sides and interiors of things. This will also be more accurate to know if you're inside a ship, outside a ship, or colliding with a ship, and it opens up their new shield tech that allows them to have a much tighter shield bubble. This also is going to allow for some really cool large ship debris that's going to be traversable too. Now, they talked a lot, and this is going to be more interesting to some people than it is to others, about networking stuff. The server tick rates are targeted at 30. That's what they want. That's what they're currently going for. The client-side machine rates, and they're kind of looking at 60 frames per second. Now, they're not operating in lockstep when they look at their servers, so the client should receive an update for entities every 2 frames. So it does some prediction on that middle frame, because obviously it's not getting an update every frame. Anything that's out of sync when they get that update is then corrected with that update, but there's not going to be much of an issue there because the stuff could only be very fractionally out. Previously, they had to send all the simulation data to each client in every server and every client. So if you had 24 clients, then it would be copied out 24 times each bit of information. Serialized Variables allows for a much more efficient approach with variable updates and object culling. They have actually reduced potential operations required to track objects by several magnitudes. The network code has apparently never really been an issue for clients in regards to receiving and unpacking data. The issues that have occurred have been mismatches between client and server. Bind culling will just remove all the processing of objects that aren't relevant to your client, as well as saving a bit of the processing power on the server, as it doesn't need to communicate so much data anymore. It's not an easy task though. They need to control the updates on the server so that it only updates certain areas based on player movements. They are moving to asynchronous entity spawning, which is also known as the object container streaming. This is basically an efficient approach to load objects that doesn't stall the clients at all. The full implementation of bind culling will be coming with object container streaming, though we may see an early iteration of it before that, and in the meantime we have the serialized variable range-based culling, and that's going to be in 3.1. It does a similar thing. If an entity is too far away from a player, then it won't send updates to the player. It basically puts entities to sleep if they're not being used. They are trying to not prematurely spend time on optimization, as it's going to slow down development, and they are constantly improving systems and the code as they move forward and as they implement more and more. However, they want the game to be played now, and it is available to be played now, and 15 frames per second is no fun. So they are going to try and push a little bit of optimization, and that's one of the things that 3.1 was about. But expecting 60 frames per second for everyone in the short term is unlikely. They are pushing forward with features development, and they will look at a full optimization of the game once they have the core features done. There has also been a focus on fixing and preventing issues with rubber banding, jitter, and physics issues that players can cause, and they've been using various tools, tracking CPU, GPU, and server data to help find where weaknesses are, where bugs are, and fix them. And this is very, very important, massively so, to help with identifying issues in 3.1's Evocati and PTU phases, again, hopefully leading to a cleaner, higher framed live release. Both in-studio QA and that wider test group data is incredibly important. And I hope a lot of you have a lot of fun over the weekend testing and basically being voluntary QAs, as Evocati is a bit of a chore. But obviously, if you love the project, it is quite rewarding. So I hope you have fun with that. I am off to the UK Foundry 42 studios to have a studio tour and an interview with Aaron. So I will see you probably on the Saturday or the Sunday based on how tired I am getting back on Saturday. But as I said, please check out my videos on 3.1 and the roadmap and the schedules and all that sort of stuff to see what features are in this release that should be coming to us shortly. Also remember that in the Evocati and PTU phase, especially with their new quarterly release schedule, if anything isn't up to snuff for a live release, they will cut it, even if it is in the PT or Evocati build. So just bear that in mind. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For March, it's to the Outpost Building Pioneer, donated by our featured org, Forgotten Heralds, a PMC with a history in UEE military service. Their doctrine focuses on operational agility through in-game training and a friendly, active community. Please check out that org page and say hi to them on Discord. Links below. To be in for a chance of winning that Pioneer, however, just make sure you're subscribed to my channel and then comment on any of my videos made during the month. Each video will give you another opportunity to win. We're also getting that org spotlight out for Forgotten Heralds probably next week with the release of Letters from Vega. Any questions about Star Citizen or Squadron 42's development, gameplay mechanics, or suggestions for videos? Chuck them in the comments below. A special thank you to my Patreons who allow me to create the amount of content I do and visit places like Foundry 42 and pay for the travel and all that sort of jazz. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. And I get equipment and voice recordery things which I'm holding in my hands, which you can't see because I've got footage playing in the background. But please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help me. And I'll see you in the verse.